Okay, so we've had the rocks tumbling for almost another 4 days. So I thought I would open them up. One thing I am finding with this tumbler is it's really hard for me, and I'm reasonably strong, to open the lid. I did open this one earlier, so that's why I'm managing to do it. But you can see, I've just got some paper towels because I'm going to get really messy here. But when you pull this off, you get a lot of sort of grey foam, and it just starts looking like sludge. And I think, to me, that's a really good sign that there's been a lot of tumbling going on and the grit is almost used up. So I've just got this little bowl that I'm going to drain them over. I'll just pop this to the side, and we're going to tip them in through our sieve and see what we get. I don't want to let them get too dry, because I understand that that grey sludgy stuff can sort of dry like cement. Oh my goodness, this one here was one of my favourites, and the colours are just looking so cool. So it's nice, got lots of nice reds, and then there's that little translucent bit in there. What I'm going to do is rinse these off as much as I can too, and I can reuse these, but I'm only going to use them with the same grit again. So I've got a wee container which I've not labelled up grit 60, because I understand the grit gets embedded in the plastic bead. I understand if you use ceramic beads that doesn't happen. Oh, this is the orange one that I really liked. There's a little bit of grit left, so they didn't use up all the grit, but you can really tell there's not much grit left in that slurry stuff. It's a nice orangey one. Just going to chuck them all back in there. I don't have any other rocks that are really ready for this level of tumbling. So the tumbler is about half full. So I've given it a really good wash out, get as much as I can, get all the grit and everything off. I'll throw away this paper towel now. So I've got my rocks in there. I'm going to get my 220 grit. And I've got a tablespoon measure here, but I'm just looking at that thinking I haven't washed that off yet. Oh, this is... used this one before. I love how it looks. It just looks like glitter. Okay. Right. So now I've washed off my tablespoon, and I think I'm going to put 3 tablespoons of grit in, and see how we get on. I'm going to try and make it. So 1, 2, 3. I made sure the tablespoon was really well cleaned. Put that lid back in so that it didn't have any of that 60 grit on it, and dried it off really well, because otherwise the grit will just stick to it, which it sort of has anyway. Right, it's about half full. I'm going to put these plastic beads. I just got these clever ones. I presume all plastic beads are reasonably similar. These were what was cheap, and I thought if they worked, so I'm just going to put some scoops of this here, just till it's about covering. I guess that's about 4 scoops. We'll see how that goes. Right, and now all I'm going to do is put that lid on later. Put the water so it's just covering the rocks, or maybe just under, because last time I feel like I had yeah, just under the surface of the rock. So you can see we've got some beads, we've got some rocks, we've got some grit in there. Put this cap on. So we've had the mostly chert stones in here with the 220 grit. I put them on for 4 days, but I ended up turning it off after 3 because I noticed the grit was sort of leaking out the edge there, or starting to, and yeah, I can see a wee bit's leaked on the tumbler, so I didn't want to keep that going for too long, so I'm just going to try and clean that off a bit. I don't know if this necessarily means this, but I thought that perhaps it might mean that we've run out of grit in here and it's all worn away already, but we'll just have a look. Okay, everything's cleaned out. You can see the stones are still pretty wet, but like this one here, it's just starting to dry off, and you can see it's still really quite dull when it's not wet. So we're going to chuck them back in the tumbler now. Not going to let them get dry. And we're going to just give them a really good wash just for a day. So we'll put those in there, and we're going to put, it's probably enough water there, and I'm just going to get a scoop of borax. Now borax is something that's quite common, I believe, in other parts of the world, not so common in New Zealand. I remember finding this out when looking for it for a slime recipe that my kids wanted when they were much younger. You can get it in the cleaning section at places like Mitre 10 and Bunnings. So that's where we'll go. So I just put 1 scoop in. I think that should be good. I'm going to put the lid on really tight. I thought I'd just do a quick video to show you what the stones look like when they've come out of a washing cycle. So I put them on for a day with just some borax, and you can sort of tell it's kind of leaked a bit, like when it gets a bit condensatey like this, but it doesn't look like it's anything too bad. So let's have a look in here. Oh, it's so hard to open. Right, got it. So it's very surprising. Like, I'd rinsed them off pretty well beforehand, but you can see, I've just tipped out some of that water there. The water has gone really sort of pale and brown. So I'll just rinse it all out. And but yeah, you can see that kind of milky water in there. Anyway, we'll rinse the rocks off and have a look. Oh, I see what's happened. Sorry, I will just, before I finish the video. So there's some stone chips here, and I think This one, which has been through quite a lot of times, was quite smooth, but I think they've chipped off there. Maybe chipped off that one, definitely chipped off this one. So I think that's something I'm finding because of it being such a fast polisher, and I can't change the speed on this one. So some of the more delicate rocks are starting to get maybe a little bit damaged if they have like faults. So there's also this piece here, which I'm just trying, yeah, so that's, I think that piece is chipped out of this one here, which is a shame because it's a really nice rock. But I mean, it's the only tumbler I've got, so we'll just have to make do with that. So what I'm going to do is I'll leave this one out and this one out that have been chipped, and I'll take them back to the start again. I don't know what to do about these two, because they've kind of chipped off as well. I might leave all, that's 5. I might leave all 5 of these chipped ones out. I'm wondering if, because I was washing it without the beads, there wasn't any protection and they smashed into each other a bit much, and that's what's chipped them, unfortunately. So I might just pre-polish just the ones that are still intact and leave these ones, take them back to the beginning again. Okay, so we've had the rocks in here with some borax, just cleaning, just overnight. So we're going to open them up. This one's always a little bit hard. Oh. And it's really interesting because you can see, just even though we gave them a good wash, I don't know if you can see there just how discoloured, how much grit has come off them. So that's really good to get them through there. So it doesn't look so far like any have chipped, which is great because last time I ran with the borax I didn't use the beads and got a lot of chippings. Right, here's the whole family. So some of them are starting to dry off. We don't want them to dry off too much. What I'll do now is I'll go and clean the tumbler out and get ready for the pot.